Hello and welcome to 10 Minutes. I'm your host Barbara Wittenberg, and today we are going to meet with the director of the newest movie released in color, The Awakening. Here is the newly released trailer. Originally published in 1899, this new 2013 movie has a unique twist to the ending, different from what Chopin had written. Hello May, how are you? I'm good, how are you? Good. So May, what inspired you to create the ending the way that you did? Well, first let me give you a little more detailed information about my ending. Edna doesn't actually drown. She's rescued and brought to the hospital as soon as possible. And over time, her father actually shows up and stays by her bedside the whole time. The nurses would come in, were a little concerned with the father because he had a little breathing problem. And from there, over time, the father never left Edna's side. So she never woke up, and he was always expecting her to wake up. And along the courses of those days, a few people had, well, not a few people, one person in particular had stopped by. Leonce actually stopped by, but the father wasn't too happy with him because he told Leonce specifically to keep a good, firm hand on Edna. And the father got upset because Leonce didn't follow his rules because Edna ended up trying to drown herself and kill herself. So the father immediately sent Leonce away, and he told Edna it was for her own good. And yeah, over the course of time, the father did talk to Edna as if she was awake, but she wasn't. Also, Robert, he didn't stop by specifically, but he brought geranium flowers with him. The father didn't know about that whole idea with Robert and Edna, but in Edna's mind, she did know about that. And it's like her eyes were open the whole time. They weren't closed, but she wasn't physically there with the father. But she knew that the geranium flowers were from Robert, but the father didn't know, and the nurses didn't know because he didn't say his name. He just left him and left. Then after that happens, no one else really comes to visit Edna, so it's kind of like over time, everyone kind of forgets what happened, but the father doesn't. He's still that fatherly figure and always stays by Edna's side the whole time. It's really sad, like in the end, as time progresses, the father's breathing problems get a little like worse because all this alcohol that he had caused health problems, like his breathing problems and so on. But one night when it was midnight, the hospital was kind of empty. Edna was still unconscious. The father was starting to lose his breath, but he didn't want to get help or anything. He just stayed by Edna's side the whole time, laying on her bed. He just said, like, I love you, Edna, like, I hope you come back. But she wasn't responding, but he still didn't want to leave her side and go get help. After that happened, he eventually lost his last breath, but he died peacefully right next to Edna's side from the beginning, never left her. And Edna, unfortunately, did not wake up at that point, so he passed away. And from there, Edna, she just wanted to be free. She still didn't want to come back to reality and be with her father, even though he was there from day one by her side. I didn't want Edna to die just yet. I wanted to bring some minor details, like the father's character, the geraniums, and the scent of the sea, which was also present during the bad times in the book, which I'll get to later. And I wanted to make those little details in Chopin's novel, The Awakening, and I wanted to make them a bigger part in my ending. Oh, so out of all the details in the book, what made you choose the certain details that you just told me about? First is the most important character, besides Edna, is the father. The father and Edna had deep filial attachments, and when the father left Edna's house, he grew melting and affectionate. Edna, grew melting and affectionate towards her father. So he definitely had an impact. And the father wasn't really a main character in the book overall, so I wanted to really highlight him because there were details that told us that Edna and her father did have a certain relationship, the father-daughter relationship. The father understood Edna, unlike Robert and Leonce, kind of sparked that light in her, Her attitude changed, like Dr. Mandelet noticed that something changed in Edna, and that wasn't really happening when her father wasn't present. And I think that father-daughter relationship was really important to the book, even though it was in like 2 chapters or something. And I really wanted to show that, and show that in my ending, having the father there by Edna's side, because he was the only one who really understood her. The alcoholism. In the book, Chopin wrote that the father drank numerous toddies, which is like alcohol. And I wanted to play into the father's own downfall, but I wanted to show that because of his numerous drinking and gambling and stuff, that he will cause his own downfall. The geraniums specifically were not a huge detail, but they were present throughout like the entire book. The geraniums were the only present when Edna was thinking about Robert, which was what I wanted to get out of that. I wanted to show the death of Robert and Edna's relationship, because the geraniums, when they were dropped off, Robert didn't say what his name was. He didn't introduce himself to his Edna's father, and so forth. So it was kind of like that last little "I remember you, but I don't think this can happen." I wanted to pick up the relationship between Edna and Robert specifically, so I brought up the geraniums because, again, they were only present when Robert was around, not when Alcee or anybody else was around. And I just wanted to bring that little detail, that small minor detail of flowers from the book, and I really wanted to highlight that so we can get an understanding of what geraniums meant to Edna. The last detail that I included in the ending was the scent of the sea. Okay, the scent of the sea was, for my ending, the downfall of each character. There were other scents in Chopin's novel of flowers, wines, but the scent from the sea, I wanted to take the water's scent and bring it towards her hospital room to remind her of that escape, that freedom, that lust that she wanted. The scent of the sea was also the building up of bad things in Edna's life. It was like the end of Leonce and Edna's marriage, because when Leonce left the room after the father told him to leave, there was a musky scent of the sea. And I wanted to highlight that it's the end, the downfall of Edna and Leonce's marriage. So that's why that was present there. It was also present when the father passed away and started losing his breath, which that symbolized the end of Edna's support, because the father was there from day one when she was brought into the hospital. And I wanted to show that Edna's support left, so it was like the building up of the badness that she had. I wanted the main focus of the sea in my ending, but not have it physically there next to Edna. I wanted it to be like a scent that was present, that was important to Edna's attempt at suicide. The sea's scent was still that lust for escape, and it was still the symbol of freedom from like society's ways of how women should act, and it represented, the bad situations Edna was in. So the sea was very important, but I didn't physically want the sea right next to Edna, because you can't really have the sea next to a hospital. But I made it present by incorporating it into a scent, instead of having like scents of flowers, scents of jasmine, all that. So that was my motivation behind those details in my ending. Wow, very, very interesting. I have a question. So does Edna actually wake up in the end? Well, in the end, Edna doesn't wake up. She doesn't want to come back to reality. She just wants to be free and doesn't want to wake up back into the society she tried to get away from originally. So, no, she does not wake up. Just in her mind, she just wants to be free. She doesn't want to feel the reality that she had before. She doesn't want the responsibilities. She doesn't want to remember the times she had with Robert, Alcee, all those people, Leonce, her kids. She just wants to escape, which was her original plan by trying to commit suicide. So like in the end, in Chopin's novel and my alternate ending, basically Edna dies, except I carry the ending a little more and then show how she died after being unconscious for such a long time. Wow. Well, thank you, May, for coming. This has been 10 Minutes with Barbara Wittenberg. Thank you and good night.